Hi, Norman No Meats here. Today we're going to be changing the bottom washer on a toilet system. Now, as you can see, I'll tell you the symptoms. What I've got is the water builds up after a flush, then it slowly is leaking through the bottom gasket, because in there at the bottom of there is a large gasket, and I think that gasket is leaking of not sealing. So whether I've got some grit in the bottom of the toilet or on the cistern, I'm really not sure. Now, the plumbing experts would get a spanner, like a Cistern or something, on here, and they would crack that and pull the hole inside out. They'd pull that whole mechanism here, they'd pull it out, change the gasket and put it back in. But I'm not happy at, because when I put it in I didn't have any brass washer, so I'm going to be changing all this. And also the white, the pipe that was coming from the cistern to the toilet was at a slight angle, so I kind of cut it wrong when I put it in, because I put this in. Right, so what I've done is, this should be on there. So I've got a shifting spanner and taken that off. I've unscrewed this here and removed the white pipe, or the pipe rather, that goes between the cistern and the toilet. I've done that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take out these two screws here, one there, and pretty much pull this straight out and take it to the workshop. Lay it down and pull this off from the bottom of the Cistern. So I'll get back to you when I do that. Okay, so this is ceramic. I had a plastic one on and I didn't really like it at all, so I have to be really be very careful not to drop this, because it's going to break. Okay, I'll get back to you when I get this in the workshop. So here it is lying on a bench. So what I did was, I got one of these. Unfortunately I don't have a bigger one than that. I got one of these and I just slackened that retainer here, and I'm going to screw this off. Obviously I put silicone on it previously, and then this whole middle section, this inner section of the flush components is going to pop out. So I'm going to just cut this with a little bit of a knife. Just watch what I'm doing, because like I say, I've put silicone in there, and that should just all pop out, and then I'll take this out. Right. Now, that was a little bit of work to get that out of there. I know what the professionals would have done. They would have probably went straight to the retail store and bought a whole new mechanism. Because to be fair, I got the second hand and I don't know how old this flush system actually is. But the gasket that I'm looking for is this here, which goes over and inside there. That's where it sits. It sits inside there. So you've got to pull it so it's over the top and pull there. So luckily I've got another two here. So I'll put one on, I'll show you where it is and it sits. I assume that it's going to be this, but what I'll do is all the rest of those little gaskets and stuff, because this is a movable part. This is the flush system, this is the flush. So when these things are pressed, it lifts, you know, in effect this up. So that seal goes on the bottom part of the toilet mechanism, which I think the other bit's sitting in here, actually in. No, I'm not sure where that other part. Oh no, here. So there. So it'll sit down in that retainer there, and that's where it'll seal. So what I'll do is I'll clean all this up, make sure there's no, because I thought it might have been a little bit of sand or grit or something that's in there, but this looks pretty old and pretty weathered. So I think this has been a problem. It doesn't feel gritty, but I mean obviously I've been handling it. So that is where we're at. I might, if there's any numbers on here, take a note of this. I think it's a chroma dual flush system, so I'll maybe have a look and see if I can get another one, and if I have to do this again, I'll just replace the whole mechanism. I think this is going to fix my problem, but it's just a lot of the plastic. I mean, I think this has been out before because these retaining clips has been broken, so somebody has had it out before, but like I say, I'm not really sure how old it is at all, because I got it second hand, and these probably need a bit of a replacement, but I'll silicon round there. I'm not really fussed about that, to be fair. It's because it's this. Okay, so I will get back to you when I've got it all together. So that's the gasket on, so that's it sitting right there. That was the original, so it sits in behind this piece of plastic here, so it sits in there, and then this will go on, clip on there, this will clip on there, and then that gets put through the end of this, and then that sits in this. So I'm going to give it all a bit of a clean up, because the rubber, the old rubber, just leaves your hands in a bit of a mess, because it's perished, but it just gives off that rubbery marks on your hands, and it just dirties everything. So I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to get the silicone out and just put a little tiny bit of silicone, more so I want to seal it, but I don't want to overdo it because it's a huge problem trying to break the silicone later on. And my pipe that I was talking about that goes between the cistern, which is here, imagine that goes up there and runs to the toilet. Obviously this is sitting on its back. I just felt that this was ever so slightly long, so I'm going to cut probably, I put a little tiny scribble mark over here, which is a bit of a mess. I'm going to cut probably a 20mm off this, because it was leaning slightly down. That's a bit excessive, but it did have a slight angle on it, and I wanted it to be more like that, more running into the toilet rather than, because I don't want it, you know, where my hand is, because that's going to just be full of water all the time. So I'll put things back together, give it a clean, put it back together, do a little bit of silicone, and we'll get back to you. And I'll look out some brass screws for here, because as you can see, this has been a bit rusted out. I don't let it rust, so I've got some those fibrous kind of ones, and I've got brass screws which I found because I'm doing up my workshop, and I came across all the screws and stuff. So I'll have to finish off a video of my workshop, but we'll do this and we'll get it back together, and then it'll be coffee time. Bye for now. Now that's the mechanism inside the cistern again, but as you can see, you might not be able to see in there, that's where that gasket seats on, so it seats just in here. Right, so I've put some thread tape, some of the pink stuff, because it's a bit thicker, and it's actually for gas. Turn it around, that's it in. I've adjusted this slightly so it's in there. Everything seems to be working before I put it in. I've got some new screws, that's my pink tape, so that's heavy duty stuff. So what did I use tool wise? I'm going to wait to put it back on, obviously. One of them, couple of screwdrivers, and some silicone. And really, I probably didn't have to use the silicone if I'd replaced all this. So we'll go and hang it back up. We'll do the connections underneath. I've cut the bit for the bottom, which is actually sitting in situ, ready to go up here. There is a as you can see, maybe not there, there is a retainer, so that the pipe should just fit to there, and then seal up with the seal straight onto here. This is for the water coming in, the 15 mil. So I'm going to wait to put it back in. I'll get back to you. So that is the cistern back in. Connected up the 15 mil down here, up to there. Had a bit of a modification with this. Just make sure that's tight because it seals the gaskets. And then I put back in the 2 screws here, put it at a level. It's ever so slightly off the level, but I'm not really going to worry about it, because what was happening was the cistern was empty by a little flow of water down here. So I'm just going to monitor it over the next couple of days to see if there's still a slight leak. But it might take a couple of days for the gasket to just seat, and then it might stop. So I've taken a note of the type of cistern this is, just in case I've got to get a whole new mechanism, and if I've got to take it out again, I'll just do exactly the same. Take it out, pull out the inside, put in the brand new one, and fit it all up and put it back in. It'll be a bit of a nuisance, but yeah, I'm doing it myself. So hopefully that has solved the problem of my ever so slightly water leak. Yeah, that's about all I can say. So I'll monitor over the next couple of days, and that's that. So Norman Noise signing off. Bye for now.